Episode 19, October 6th, Scenes from the Spectrum, preseason edition. Let's get right into it.
Against Gill, the crowd on its feet. Allen for the win. Yes!
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. What is it, a Thursday? Thursday edition of Scenes from the Spectrum?
Something like that.
It's October 6th, okay? October 6th. Last time we recorded a podcast, it came out October 1st.
We're cooking. We are what they called cooking.
That is, in fact, true. I'm Graham. He's Justin.
What up?
Justin. Our cameras are inverted, so I'm pointing this way, so it's actually this way. He's Justin. I'm Graham. This is Scenes from the Spectrum, episode 19. We got some big announcements, though. Before we get into our headlines, some big stuff's been happening. First of all, shout out to our producer, Tony, pressing the buttons, making us look beautiful and pretty, even though we don't.
Absolutely.
But again, you got to follow the Twitter, Justin. Are you following the Twitter? I think
I am. Are you?
I think you made the Twitter. I'm following the Twitter.
You
Tony's
watching?
Tweeting on the Twitter.
You watching? Are you following the Twitter?
That's a good
question.
If
you're not, you better.
Let's put a poll. Let's put a poll up. Like here, there's going to be a poll, and it's going to say, "Are you following the Twitter?" And it better be 100% yes.
Absolutely, 100%.
Justin, can we do that? Can we put a poll up? Like
absolutely. I'll get the. I'll put the. I think we can. I'll get the poll. I'll get the poll.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, make sure you guys are following.
PhillySportsToday.net is the website that Justin and I write for. They are the ones that make this possible.
Absolutely.
Us to you that make this possible. So shout out to them. There will be an article out between us two. Might not be us every day, but one of us will drop an article pretty much every day for a very long time. We might miss a couple days here and there. Tony might help us out some. If he can get his writer's block out of his way. But again, follow us on Twitter, read our articles. If you're following us on Twitter, chances are you're going to see our articles. So if you're following us on Twitter and you see an article, press it. Like, it's courtesy what to do. Read it if you like it. I'm going to have an article coming out today of this recording, and it's about the Sixers and their potential playoff run. So I'm looking ahead. Justin, what you got cooking up this week?
Ooh, Mr. Franchise himself, Tyrese Maxey. What's the season gonna look like for him? Big piece coming out.
If we want to like put a Tony tweet up from about 4 weeks ago about a Tyrese Maxey prediction, we could do that later on. But the problem is Tony is the one that makes those decisions. So I don't know if Tony
doesn't want to cook himself.
Tony, are you going to
We've been over this. All right, come on, man. Let it. It's in the grave. Leave it there.
All right, Tony. Let's do some useful things. Hit that music so we can get some headlines in here. Oh my gosh! Thank the Lord you hit the music. Goodness gracious, Tony.
It's my favorite part of the episode.
Let's go. Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful Thursday. NBA preseason started a couple days ago. There's been some crazy moments on and off the court for pretty much every team. The Sixers have played the Nets. They played the Cavs and won both games, by the way. Pretty good stuff from the Sixers. Tyrese Maxey is Himothy, the franchise. 41 points in 2 games. He's only played a first half in both of those games. So, he has 41 points in 2 halves of preseason ball. The dude is hooping. And Draymond Green and Jordan Poole, you have – I'm not going to put what you have on here on these headlines, Justin, but they had an altercation in practice, preseason shenanigans.
It got pretty physical. And
let's talk about that.
The Warriors are thinking about, giving a penalty, like a suspension to Draymond Green, which is – it's crazy. I never saw this coming. And as I was walking out of the Sixers arena, I am fresh out of there. The crowd was buzzing tonight. I look on my phone and I see that Draymond Green and Jordan Poole got into a fight. Never expected it. It's crazy. look out for the next episode of Draymond Green's podcast. So hopefully he'll talk about that. I wonder what he has to say about it. But I mean, it's practice. Tensions are high. People want to, do their best, play their best, and things got out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, this is a situation that it's going to happen to one team every couple years where there's going to be an altercation. This Warriors team seemed like they had the greatest chemistry of all time last year. And so just a few short months after that, you have an altercation between Draymond and Jordan Poole. Really, kind of is head scratching. What possibly could have Jordan? I shouldn't say that as Draymond Green. Anything Jordan Poole said probably pissed him off. But it's probably a young dude. Got his getting his contract. About it's coming. It's about to happen. Draymond putting him in his place.
The bag is coming home.
Two minds, two people. Maybe Jordan Poole saw the baddies and started to punch Draymond. Saw the baddies courtside at practice.
Oh,
no, I'm kidding. But yeah, that's interesting. More developing stories on that. We have to be right because there's going to be a suspension. I would assume Jordan Poole's going to have to make a statement. Draymond's going to have to make a statement. We know Draymond's probably going to make like too many statements about it and get himself in trouble even more.
He is never going to stop talking about it.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this went. I saw where Draymond actually apologized for striking Jordan Poole in practice, which is like a very un-Draymond thing to do. So he must have been like really caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going down to Delaware later this week.
Yeah, heading down to Delaware on Saturday.
Yeah.
The Blue Coats Arena. The Sixers are having a blue and white game. It's a little scrimmage between the players. I'll be down there. Hopefully get a few autographs maybe from.
You got a fanboy? You gonna get Maxi?
I'm gonna fanboy. But I'll put up some videos, talk about how it happened, all that. So more content, like we said before, more content on our Twitter. You should be following it. Hopefully after I put that poll up that you said, because you should be following on Twitter.
You should be following. Exactly, bro. If you're not following, I don't know what you're doing with your life, first of all.
And we're doing a good job of live tweeting the games. We got a bunch of clips out there. Tony's doing a great job with that. Really all of us we're cooking. We are cooking.
And when the regular season starts, we might do this before the regular season. You got to follow us because we're going to have the most lit post-game spaces of all time.
If you don't know what Twitter Spaces are, it's basically it's a live chat room basically where you go on Twitter and you talk, and that's what we're going to talk about the game really after every game, and that's another way to get in with us and talk to us and share your thoughts with us.
Exactly. And good thing for me and Justin is we happen to know pretty much everybody on Sixers Twitter. So you're going to see Ninja Bands in there, probably going to see Prez, Munch. We're going to be in there, but it's good for you guys to chime in with us. You don't get the chance to do that for the podcast, but on the post-game spaces, you can do that. We'll let you chime in and give your thoughts about pretty much every game. We're going to try and do pretty much every game. Is much as we can possibly do. We know you might miss some, I might miss some, Tony might miss some, but there will be a space. There only needs to be one of us for a space.
October 18th, opening night versus Celtics. Just watch out for that. After the game, there will be a space, our first one of the year. So make sure you're looking out for that. It's in 12 days.
That's big. Yeah, you got to be looking out for the spaces because when regular season starts, real basketball. Let's talk about non-real basketball. Preseason. First game for the Sixers was in Brooklyn against the Nets.
Ben Simmons' debut.
Yeah, overall takeaways for this was actually an interesting storyline. The Nets came out very flat, and they kind of didn't look like they were going to be there. They had their starters. The camaraderie obviously wasn't there for the Nets just yet. KD had some mishaps, and Kyrie was a bit rusty, and Ben Simmons was getting clamped by George Niang. But other than that, they did catch fire there in the third quarter for the Nets. Overall view of that, they got it close to it. They tied the game up, and then Isaiah Joe took off, and it was all us in the fourth quarter. So shout out to ISO Joe. But again, the Nets came out flat, which was interesting to me, and that's because the Sixers had one less day of training camp than any other team in the NBA. And that was because of Hurricane Ian when they were in Charleston was like a direct hit from their mainland. So they missed out on a day of practice, not just practice, training camp. So we talked about like team chemistry and what they might do. Missing practice, being around each other for that long, maybe it helped with team chemistry because they didn't look like they were missing a day of practice.
Yeah. And one big takeaway from that game on the Nets side is I could have told you that Nick Claxton and Ben Simmons shouldn't be sharing the floor together even before they touched the court. That if they don't work together, they are two non-shooters, really non-shooters, and you really can't have two of them sharing the floor together. I think that definitely hurts them on the offensive end. But speaking about Ben Simmons, oh boy, did he not look good. Defensively, yes, he's a solid defender, and he's always going to be a solid defender as is a decent passer. But other than that, still haven't seen any improvement to anything outside of those two things.
Yeah, I'm going to say he's going to be a great defender, a great passer, above average playmaker at times. But that's basically all he's going to bring to you if he's not playing center. So the thing for the Nets, I feel like he has to play center because when you have a tandem of who's going to play, right? You have Day'Ron Sharpe in there, who I love. I love Day'Ron Sharpe in that type of offense where he's very versatile with KD and Kyrie, but he doesn't necessarily work with Ben Simmons. And that team is just not built for Ben Simmons to play power forward. It's built for KD to be the power forward. And that's kind of the realm of the Nets is I don't even think Steve Nash knows what to do. I put a quote up on my Twitter a couple of days ago, and he talked about Ben. He'll play the 5 when we need to, but he'll also be our primary ball handler. I mean, nobody knows what he's going to do. And yeah, we live in an age of everything's positionless basketball, but you also have to put the ball in the hands of Kyrie and KD. And if Ben Simmons starts to get in the way of that, I think it's going to be a long season in Brooklyn.
Yeah, and another thing you could take away is Ben Simmons, his half court offense it's still bad. It is never improved. I mean, you saw him, picking up the ball at half court and trying to make things happen. Nothing's going to happen. But Ben isn't built to play the 1 on that team. I think he's way more suited to play the 5. Come off the bench for Nick Claxton, start over him. I don't care, but I don't see things working out for that team with him playing the 1.
What do you think Ben Simmons' best attribute is?
His defense.
Okay, perimeter defense, right?
His perimeter defense. Yeah,
if he's playing the 5, he's going to be guarding the post. So again, if you put him at the 5, you take away his best attribute, which is perimeter defense. So they got a lot of things to figure out. We can speculate all we want. This is not a Nets podcast. They played the Nets. We're going to talk about it. But that's something that I don't have a clue with. I think about basketball pretty much all day, every day. And I haven't found out a solution. I know Steve Nash has got a great basketball mind. Obviously, one of the highest IQs ever in the game. I don't think he knows what to do. So it's gonna happen. It's gonna have to happen organically on the court, and they're just gonna have to get lucky and hope something works, or they find a wrinkle in a system that they can exploit. But other than that, the Nets didn't look amazing. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna be a top 3 seed. I'm not worried about them just because of the star power they have. But they do have they have hindrance, and they have more hindrance than any other big team outside of the Lakers, right? I think the Nets and the Lakers, who at this time last year, they were the 2 favorites, and it wasn't even close. Yeah. Now we're looking at them like, they have star power, but they also have so many problems, which is crazy, the NBA landscape.
Yeah, let's get right to the shining point. The shining point in the Sixers so far, and I'm sorry to bring your tweet up again, Tony, but you didn't think he was going to take another leap, and he looks like he has. He's taken another leap. And listen, what is one thing all NBA fans love to do during preseason? Overreact. And that is exactly what we're doing right now. Tyrese Maxey, his game looks so good. his passing looks way better. His skip passes are phenomenal. He had a few today or yesterday, and a few versus the Nets, but he's getting to the rim a lot better. He's doing a great job of finishing. His shooting has just been lights out, which is exactly what you want to see. I don't know the exact shooting percentages he's had for the first 2 games, but I know it's something insane.
Yeah, I mean, he's like 80% from the field. Something insane, right?
Yeah.
He had 8 points in the first 2 minutes of the Nets game. Let's talk about that.
He started off with
took over.
His first 2 shots were both threes and just bang.
And they were like
right
off the dribble,
yeah.
pace off the screen. He's much faster. Let's talk about it. He's much faster around a screen than he was last year. It is noticeable. It's very noticeable. A lot of times you see these young electric guards, they just get better, and you're like, wow, he's better. You really can't like pinpoint one attribute to another. This is a different case with Tyrese Maxey. Obviously, he's passing, improved, leaps and bounds, skip passing, vision, everything about it, right? And his off the dribble is just lights out right now. I mean, the man he's going to knock down high difficulty of shots. That's his MO, right? He's going to make tough shots, but he's just doing it. And it's like, he makes it look easy. It's insane how well he can penetrate and get to either a layup, or he could just stop on a dime and shoot a 3. And we've seen that. And Tyrese Maxey is borderline. I'm not ready to say yet, but he's borderline the second best player on this team.
Yeah, and there was one shot that I love from him versus the Cavs is a pump fake 3-pointer in the corner, taking a few steps in and shooting that off the dribble jump shot in the mid range when he's highly contested, and that thing goes in way more than expected. I mean, obviously, with a 3rd-year player, he's going to get better and better every year. But oh my God, how better can somebody get?
It's rare where you can pinpoint this much stuff about a young guard who was already good his rookie year into his 3rd year. You can say 5 or 6 things that are noticeably like it's obvious how much better he is than 2 years previous. You look at Ja Morant, like, yeah, he's gotten better. Like, he's just gotten better. I mean, he was good. He's polished some things off. Now, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he was really good. He's polished himself off. He's just better. Tyrese Maxey is a better passer. He's better on defense. He can see the court way more, and it's not even close, his core vision, right? His defense, he was the worst defender in the league his first couple of months of the season. Now he's serviceable where he can put effort in and be a pest. He's not a great defender, but he can be a pest, and that's all you're looking for him. And again, the high difficulty of shots that he's able to make on a consistent basis is just absolutely insane no matter where he is on the court. And what goes along with that is I've never seen the dude miss an open shot from the corner.
Never. That's what I say every time. Well, the person I was at the game with, he took a shot from the corner. I was like, that's in. I have no doubt about it. His shot just looks good and it's swish every single time. And that's exactly what you want to see.
I mean, I've never really seen a player this young, this gifted, and talented to the fact that they can make tough shots. Like we've seen tough shot makers. Like Lou Will was on the Sixers. Like we've had tough shot makers, right? But you have this guy in Tyrese Maxey who makes all these tough shots off balance, off one leg, you name it, 2 guys in his face. But if Joel Embiid gets a double team and Maxey's open in the corner and he's wide open, there's no hesitation in his shot. He's going to shoot it just like any other shot he takes, and he's going to knock it down in the corner. And that's one thing. Another thing, he's always going to have, even if he has a bad shooting night, he's turning the ball over. His brain really isn't there. He's had some mental mistakes. He's always going to have the floater. And it's unblockable. It's unguardable. He's always going to make it.
That's one of my favorite things about his game.
And it's straight from John Calipari. You look at him and Emmanuel Quickley are the two guys that have the best floaters in the league right now. And Chris Paul. I'll say 3 guys. And 2 of them are from Kentucky, from John Calipari, and were there at the same time. There's no disguising how good those guys' floaters are. And Tyrese Maxey, like I said, he has so many weapons offensively. He's becoming my favorite player in the league. He's becoming a lot of other fans' favorite players in the league. The guy's just flat out fun. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's just fun. He makes basketball fun.
Yeah, he makes sure that, especially the crowd, just everybody's having a good time. And, he does whatever he can to do that, making difficult shots, hyping up the crowd, doing everything. And it's exactly what you want to see out of a young guy. He's showing great leadership.
I mean, he works hard. And Doc says it every time. And Daryl will say it, and we see it. We can tell. We knew he was a hard worker when we drafted him, but the guy works at his game constantly. And he's made for this city. I can say that with full confidence because of the way he's improved. You can tell a guy who's made for the city by the way he improves in probably 3 years. Joel Embiid, made for the city.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts, made for the city. Tyrese Maxey, made for the city. I mean, the guys, they improve drastically. They come from, this, role player, right? He's going to be good. Like, he's good. And they turn into MVP type all-star bona fide stars, superstars in the league. And we're seeing that right now. We're in the midst of it with Tyrese Maxey.
And I really think this is a year where it's very possible that we have 3 all-stars in Joel Embiid, James Harden, and Tyrese Maxey. It's very possible that we see Tyrese Maxey getting his I
think it's a lot.
If he's playing the way he's playing, absolutely.
I think
it could be a lot.
Yeah. I think Tyrese Maxey is going to just miss out on an all-NBA team. That's my prediction for the year. If somebody gets injured, God forbid, but if somebody does get injured or 2 or 3 guys in that guard position, we could see it all NBA third team. That's the type of year. And people might look at me crazy, but I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. I know it's preseason. It might be an overreaction, but this is what I've seen this year from the offseason and from what the end of last year and how good you could tell he was from beginning to end of last year. I really, you might, on the surface think this is an overreaction, but I promise you, I'm not one to overreact, especially about the Sixers. So I genuinely believe that he's going to be a fringe all-NBA player, bona fide all-star. And I'm going to say this in my article that drops today. To win a championship, you have to have a big 3. The dynamic duos do not work. Okay. You have to have a big 3. Tyrese Maxey is if he's the third guy in the big 3, Sixers championship odds tremendously go up.
Yeah, and you can't talk about a big 3 without the other role players on the team. And I think Tobias Harris is the best 4th option in the NBA.
Yeah.
Which is it's crazy to say that he's the best at something, but I certainly think he's the best 4th option in the NBA. But I've been loving what I've been seeing from Tobias Harris in the first 2 preseason games. He is just letting that 3 ball just fly.
Yeah.
He said it in media day. He's just going to let it fly, and he doesn't care about the result. He is letting that thing fly, and it looks beautiful. He's hit a couple great shots.
He's going to have some growing pains this year for sure. There's going to be some stretches of bad Tobias play, and I'm gonna get mad about it just because the way
we're always going to get mad about it.
We're going to get mad about it. He has bad shot selection. That hasn't changed. It's never going to change. He's going to turn the ball over. He's going to make bad passes. He's not a good passer at all. He's going to have some boneheaded mistakes. You're like, WTF, dude? Like, what are you doing, right?
Yeah.
But he's also gonna find his role eventually, and it's going to happen. I believe in that. I think that Tobias Harris is capable of learning a new role at this stage of his career. I feel like that he knows that he can't play the Los Angeles Clippers Tobias Harris forever. And he's going to have to morph into this not role player, but a starter on a championship caliber team and be very serviceable at that.
Yeah, he just needs to accept his role and perfect it. That's all we're asking out of him this year is just hit your shots, play good defense, contribute to the team, and nobody's going to be mad at you. And like you said, yes, he's going to have his bad stretches, and yes, we're going to freak out on him. But with the player like Tobias Harris, that's just what comes with the good.
Let's talk about number 3 on the big 3. let's talk about the third guy here, Joel Embiid, because we got Harden in the middle. Let's talk about the MVP, Joel Embiid. What does Embiid need to do to win MVP in your eyes?
Have the same exact season he had last year. I
Okay.
think that's it. I really just think he has to have the same exact season.
I don't think the Mavs will be a top 5 seed in the West.
No,
I
I'm
think
not worried.
Luka,
I'm really not worried about Luka winning MVP. Sure, it's a thing down the road in
I
maybe
am.
next year or in a couple years, but I'm not too worried about him winning MVP because I don't believe there'll be a top 5 or 6 seed. If he has an like an insane season, like a record breaking and all this, like something we've never seen before, then then I'd be scared. But
Yeah, but even if his team's a 7 seed.
I don't see him winning MVP as a 7th seed.
Okay.
I
I
just
think I,
don't.
I think the Sixers, if we can, get 50-ish, 52, 53 wins in that area, right? You're a good team, 1-2 seed. You're going to see MVP. You're going to see the MVP be Embiid. He could have a worse year to me. He
Yeah.
could have 27-10 coming off of 31-11 and win MVP. I think it's the seeding that matters. Embiid's volume is not going to go down. He's still going to have a shot diet. He's still going to lead the league in post ups. I would like his assist numbers to go up this year. His rebound numbers will probably dip down a tad, just because you have Montrezl Harrell and Paul Reed in there when you need them. But again, I think that Embiid just needs to be the same or better efficiency, even if the points go down just a tad.
Yeah. I still have him for MVP this year. There's a few other guys that could do it. I don't think Jokic does it for a third time in a row. Maybe
No.
you could put Giannis up there. Luka's for sure up there, but I think this is the year for an Embiid MVP. Staying on the topic of big men, something that I never saw coming with Paul Reed and Montrezl Harrell, and that's Paul Reed getting the backup 5 minutes over Montrezl Harrell. I do think Montrezl Harrell is the better offensive player, and he's obviously shown that. But I mean, Paul Reed's better on both ends. But was it something that you expected or anything like
Yeah.
that?
So yeah, when the Nets game we saw Paul Reed start, and that was, I think we're gonna look too much into that. I think that Montrezl Harrell is the backup center right now. Whatever Paul Reed's gonna do, I think Doc Rivers trusts Montrezl Harrell more than Paul Reed, and that's gonna play a big factor in minutes, trust levels. And I think that Montrezl Harrell coming off the bench in the Nets game was more a realistic, game flow for him, because it's all about getting in game flow. And Montrezl Harrell is never going to start a game. When Embiid's out, Paul Reed's going to start. I think that's kind of the way we're heading in this direction. So when Embiid didn't play versus the Nets and Paul Reed got the start, it was more game flow wise for Harrell, because at this stage of his career for Montrezl Harrell, obviously past his prime, he's not going to be sixth man of the year anymore. He's not going to average 18 points a game like he did for the Clippers. He's going to be coming off the bench and being a spark and just playing, ragtag type of basketball. And he needs flow. He needs to get reps. And I think having him in a spot where he's going to be in every night coming off the bench, that's why we've seen him, maybe Paul Reed's getting more minutes just so we can get Harrell into his flow. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Talking, come back to what you said, talking about a spark in Montrezl Harrell, we certainly saw that tonight as he was blowing kisses to the Cleveland Cavaliers bench in a preseason game. And that is absolutely something you want to see out of a guy to spark your bench. He is blowing him kisses. He is talking all kind of trash to Darius Garland the entire third and fourth quarter, the whole time he played. After he scored, he'd look at them. It was just fun to watch. He certainly made tonight, especially the second half, a fun one. And that's just what you want to see. And it's going back to what I say about signing absolute dogs on this team. And Montrezl Harrell certainly fits in that category.
Yeah, I mean, the guy tell me if I'm wrong, but the guy just looks great in a Sixers uniform.
Oh my God,
Like, he just looks
wonderful!
fantastic. He looks
Yeah,
fantastic in a Sixers uniform. I mean, the guy is just, I mean, he looks good. And like he looks like he's a Sixer. Like he belongs when you
he
have
was
that when you had that
born.
jersey on tonight. Even tonight, I noticed. Like, I mean, the guy's a Sixer. Like he belongs here. He was made for this moment.
He was born to
And
be a
that's
Sixer.
exactly who we need. Yeah, there's players in the NBA that are not on the Sixers, but they were born to be a Sixer. We're not going to go through the list, but Montrezl Harrell was on that, and he's no longer on that because he's a Sixer. I think that's true. I mean, he's
Yeah,
big, and I think he's gonna get the bulk of the minutes over Paul Reed. Paul Reed's gonna get some play for sure. He's gonna have to stay in there. He's not gonna be in the G League. He's not gonna be on another team. They're not trading him because first of all, his contract. Nobody's gonna take on whatever. He's not gonna be paired because his contract's not big enough for his value. We're not gonna trade for another guy making $1 million a year. That's going to help us win a championship. So he's going to stay unless he's paired with somebody else, like a Matisse Thybulle. But even then, Matisse Thybulle, its contract is we're going to be trading for someone that's with less value. So it makes no sense for Paul Reed not to be on the Sixers. He's not going to be in Delaware. He's going to have to get some run. It's going to be in spurts. But Montrezl Harrell is going to be the backup center.
And you heard it here first, folks. But
do you disagree with that? Do you think Paul Reed is going to be the backup center?
Listen. You could talk about what Doc's going to do or what the coaching staff is going to do, but at the end of the day, we have no idea because it's Doc Rivers.
True, but if you
rotations,
if you had to make an educated guess,
if I had to make an educated guess, Montrezl Harrell would be playing backup center. But I'm just saying that Montrezl Harrell didn't play the entire first half, and Paul Reed was giving Paul Reed the minutes, so that kind of makes me question things. That's all I wanted to say.
I mean, Matisse Thybulle didn't play.
Matisse Thybulle didn't play. I think the first 3 quarters.
Yeah,
I don't know if he might have played at the end of the third.
Doc Rivers was under the weather, sick. Wasn't coaching. It was my boy Dave. Big Dave was in there. And Big Dave knows what he's doing. He didn't play Matisse Thybulle until like the fourth quarter.
One other notable player that didn't get a single minute tonight, Isaiah Joe.
Yeah.
And Charles Bassey, but he's obviously not in the running for any playing time this year. He'll be down in Delaware with the Blue Coats for most of the season this year. But Isaiah Joe, not any minutes tonight, which kind of surprises me because he's a great shooter. You let him go out in preseason, the only time he can get a lot of minutes and shoot the ball, find his rhythm, and you don't let him do that. And it's kind of questions what we're going to do with Isaiah Joe. I certainly hope that this doesn't mean that we're going to cut him.
No, I don't think we're going to cut him at all. I mean, he's going to have to get his run. I feel like he's earned it though. He's getting the short end of a stick. This is unfair to Isaiah Joe.
You're giving other players minutes like Champagne and Charlie Brown Jr. and like why isn't Isaiah Joe playing over these guys? Julian Champagne is not going to get minutes this year. Charlie Brown Jr. is not going to get minutes this year. Isaiah Joe has the potential to get some critical minutes this year, and you're not going to put him in. You're going to sit in the whole game. That does frustrate me.
I would be very disappointed if he went to Delaware. He's not going to though. I don't think he's going to be in the G League this year. And he's another one like Paul Reed, where it's like there's no point of trading him because we're on a championship team, and nobody on $900,000 a year is going to help the Sixers. And if they could, they're not going to be traded because they're going to be too valuable as a rookie to another team.
There was absolutely no reason why he should have sat the bench the entire game. And I get it. Julian Champagne had a great game versus the Nets. He had 15 points, but there comes a time where you got to let your guys play.
Yeah, he had a great game as for the Raptors last year when the Sixers played the Raptors in Toronto as a preseason opener. He played on the Raptors and he like lit us up. He might be a preseason god. Because I never heard his name once in the playoff series.
He might be.
So,
but I mean, obviously, we're not going to see the final rotation until October 18th, opening night versus Celtics. But it's kind of thing to keep an eye on. players like Matisse, Isaiah Joe, and or Paul Reed and Montrezl Harrell, we just don't know what's going on over in Doc's head.
Yeah, I mean, Doc's head, it's a wild thing, definitely. This is not
I don't
something we
I don't
can
want to
try
I don't
and
want to know what's
speculate
in
on.
Doc's head.
Yeah, that's true. Oh gosh, yeah. Anyways, let's talk about James Harden. You were there tonight.
I was there.
Last night at the time of this recording.
Talk about
What was
absolute crossover he had
Yes.
on Dean Wade tonight.
Yes, that's true. Dean Wade.
That man has a
Poor Dean
family.
Wade. Poor D Wade on the Cavs. But again, the step. What'd you see there for the burst?
It just looks like he hasn't missed a step. It's all it looks like. It looks like that burst is back. That quick first step is back. And you saw in the clip where he crossed up Dean Wade, got the crossover in, quick first step, and it should have been an N1, but the rest didn't call it. But it was a beautiful made basket, and he just looks good, man. He really does look good.
He does. He looks good. Yeah, James Harden. I'm not gonna say he's faster than last year. I see the accelerations there. People are kind of overrating him, like, oh, he's fast. I don't think he's faster. He's
a normal
smoother.
speed.
He's
Yeah,
smoother.
it just looks good. It looks like he hasn't missed a step.
He looks like he's in control of his body. Like he knows exactly what movements he's making, hence crossover move, and absolutely shattered a career. You know, I'm sorry, Dean Wade. But again, I think that he just looks like he doesn't have a nagging hamstring. It's as simple as that. Like he looks like he's in control of his body. He knows what he's doing. He's just smooth. He knows what he can and can't do at this point of his career, and he's doing the burst is there for sure, but he's not necessarily faster. He's just more in control.
And I have a question. I have a question. I have a question for you. I have a question for people watching. You can do it down in the comment section. But do you think we see, or if your answer is yes, how many? But do you think we'll see flashes of 2018 James Harden this year?
I think we already have the Sixers. You look at the Miami Heat series. We definitely had flashes there. I think we're always going to have flashes, but we need the equilibrium, what normal James Harden is, to be here. And so when we see those flashes, it's like here. It's not a here to here, right? It's not a big leap. You know, we saw James Harden be super passive, wasn't really making his shots, was on and off, didn't look confident. And then all of a sudden we get a quarter of play where he was here, right? We still want this. We're still going to get this, but we need this to level up to here. And I think that's what we're doing. If you get what if you're watching on YouTube, you know exactly what I'm saying right now. If you're on podcast, you know, use your imagination. You probably understand what I'm saying though.
Actually, for Spotify users, they have a video. They have a video version now for Spotify. So
can we put this on TikTok? He needs to be here.
Yes. We can put that on TikTok. But
and some reels.
One other guy we haven't talked about yet is Joel Embiid.
Yep.
We have talked about his MVP season, but on the floor, you know, it's crazy what a difference from, you know, a guy playing in preseason to a guy playing a regular season. Because I could tell you in the first few minutes of the game versus the Cavs, it just looked like he just didn't care. He was just out there to have fun, but no,
he's just going through the motions.
He was just, and it took him a few minutes to kind of get into it. Took a few missed jumpers, had a few jumpers made. Then he was starting to drive to the basket. If he was getting doubled, he'd make a good pass. But no, after the first few minutes where he looked like he didn't care, he looked decent.
Yeah, and Embiid didn't get off to the best of starts last season as well. He was missing a lot of shots.
Ooh, I remember the beginning of last season. We all thought there was some hidden injury we didn't know about.
Right.
I remember we were talking about if it's the new ball because they changed the balls last year, but he had a really rough start last year. But hopefully we don't see the same thing again. I mean, if he does, we have the guys that can kind of take over for him. But, you know, let's hope for the best this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna be fine. He just need to find that point of where he knows what fouls will be called this year. That's why he's out there. He
Yeah.
has an idea of what he can get away with and what fouls he can draw. I think that's literally it. There's nothing basketball like shooting or posting up. So I mean, his defense looked good. Like his defense looked like he was alert, which is fun to see. I mean, he wasn't going to go out there and put his body on the line in preseason against the Cavs. You don't even have Evan Mobley.
Yeah.
And he already owns Jared Allen. There's no need to, there's nothing to prove to that guy. So I think he was just going through the motions out there. There's nothing to look into for Joel Embiid at all.
Yeah, and I mean, every time he falls to the floor, it looks horrible. He's got to learn how to fall, man. It sucks because it just looks bad every time. But we're praying for a healthy team this year because that's kind of one of the major factors into winning a championship is health.
And Embiid this year, I feel like he's going to live off and ones a lot. Because he's fighting through contact. It's something I've noticed is that he's, and sometimes I would admit he's been soft to fall or draw a foul or flail his arms. But I think that this year you're going to see him live off some and ones, some hard contact fouls that he's going to draw, but also make the bucket. I think that's what we're going to see from Joel Embiid this year.
I'm so excited for this season. I mean, I've just been counting down until it starts, and obviously preseason just a little tease to what we're gonna get. But man, I haven't been this excited in a very, very, very long time. So we're hoping for a good season. I'm excited for our first episode after the season opener. I'm really excited for that.
I can't remember last time I was really this excited. Tyrese Maxey's rookie year. I was pretty excited. That was straight off a bubble. That was very disappointing, and I feel like Ben Simmons was going to take a leap.
I wasn't really familiar with Tyrese Maxey when he got drafted because a couple of years ago I wasn't really looking into the draft prospects and all that, especially because of the COVID year and there was no March Madness and all that.
And
but
I had him at like 17 or 16 on my mock draft. And he fell and he had to.
If there was a March Madness tournament, he would have absolutely gotten taken way earlier.
For sure. He'd have been a lottery pick for sure, playing out in Kentucky. Another guy I want to speak on real quick, Deanthony Milton. Are we worried about him?
Absolutely not.
No,
absolutely. I thought he looked good in the Nets game.
I don't think he looked good in the Nets game. He looked good defensively. Offensively, he wasn't.
I was more focused on his defensive game more than his offense. I was really watching his. He's got such long arms. It's crazy how much he can get into passing lanes and tip balls. We might see a guy that tips more balls than Matisse Thybulle.
Whoa. It's not a podcast episode without one of those moments from Justin. But again, I agree. His anticipation in the passing lanes is Ben Simmons-esque. His ability to turn defense into offense is really good. You know how many lobs and easy dunks that John Morant got off Deanthony Milton passing lane steals? Go look some film.
A lot. I'll just say a lot.
It is a lot. John Morant's going to miss Deanthony Milton. I promise you that.
Absolutely. He's going to be huge. He was going to be one of the biggest players off of our bench. I am so excited for him. His offense, obviously, he needs to polish up his shooting and kind of everything. But one thing that I've learned from him and his offensive game in these first two preseason games is he is not afraid to just let that ball fly. And even if he misses it, he doesn't care. And I love that about guys.
So this is how I'm thinking about Deanthony Milton at this point. His floor is Danny Green level. I think his absolute worst is going to be Danny Green. Danny Green's just average play. That's Deanthony Milton's absolute worst. His absolute best, to put it in Sixers terms, along with Danny Green, is Seth Curry with elite defense.
Oh, dangerous.
I think that he's somewhere in the middle of average Danny Green and Seth Curry with elite defense. He's somewhere in the middle. He's not. He can be Seth Curry with elite defense. He could also just be Danny Green some nights. He's just somewhere in the middle. I don't know
He
how
could.
exactly to grasp because he's not JJ Redick. They
He
have
is not.
two completely different game style. I really can't tell who he is, but he's somewhere in between of his worst is Danny Green and his best is Seth Curry with defense.
Yeah, I completely agree. If he can hit his jump shots, he will just be one of the best bench players in the whole entire league. I believe so.
Yeah,
So
he's gonna be great for sure.
we'll see.
He's fun to watch defensively. Offensively, he's gonna miss shots. He's already missed shots. He's just got to find his rhythm. And it's a rhythm shooters league. As soon as he does find a rhythm, he's going to be good. But he needs to find that rhythm. I want to see him in this blue-white game you're going to. I want to look at we know his defense is going to be good. We've already seen his defense. I mean, he could take every defensive possession off and act like his controller disconnected for all I care. I need him to make some shots and be active, not just shooting. He's more than just a shooter, by the way. We need
Absolutely.
to see that. We need to see that. We need to see the Deanthony Milton that was more than just a shooter, a guy that can rim run, a guy that can cut, the guy is explosive, can make dunks, can dunk on people. I mean, we need to see Deanthony Milton dunk on somebody, because we saw Danny Green dunk once in transition and we lost our.
That
mean?
was during the Raptors series.
The Raptors series, yes.
And
we went nuts.
When
Danny Green dunked.
He dunked on someone.
It wasn't on somebody. They were in the vicinity, but it was in transition.
All right. I like to say Danny Green dunked on somebody, and that was one of my favorite playoff moments from last year. Exactly. Absolutely. That was just so electric.
Deanthony Milton can routinely jump out the gym. Let's see that.
Yeah.
Why not?
One guy. There is one guy who I was kind of excited to see this in the first two preseason games that has heavily just disappointed me. And I'm sorry, Graham, I have to say this, but Jaden Springer, he just hasn't looked good at all on both ends of the floor. He hasn't been able to get the shots that he wants, be the guard that he wants, dribble the ball, play defense. He's struggling at every aspect of the game, and it's heartbreaking because I know how much you like him, and I like him as well, but it just sucks to see.
Yeah, he has the pace of the game is a bit much for him right now.
Yeah.
Defensively, he's going to end up being fine. I mean, he has all the paralysis defensively to just be.
He's got some unreal. He's got an unreal vertical.
Instincts
and a vertical. I watched him just rise up on try to block a ball versus the Cavs, and he just kept going up and up.
Yeah, I mean his athletic ability is going to be there. He's very fast, very quick, can move side to side extremely well. His defense has been purely off instincts, and in the NBA that doesn't work. So he's going to find he has definitely he has skills defensively. He does. Absolutely. He just has to find how to utilize them. Offensively is a different story. The pace to keep up with the pace of the NBA offensive compared to defensive is much different. He needs to find a touch offensively, and he's not even close to finding his touch on the offensive side of the ball. I don't see it. I don't see it happening this season.
I think a big thing is he just needs to mature. In the league. He's young. He just turned 20. He just turned 20 years old. Last year, he was the youngest player in the draft. So he just needs to mature in the league. And I think that's really all it takes. And he'll be a good role player. Could be better than that.
More. I think there's nothing more than him for being a role. Hopefully he proves me wrong, but I think he's a role player.
Absolutely. But yeah, I tweeted this out. I tweeted this out versus the Nets game, and I tweeted it out again when he's playing the Cavs. It's just he just really looked bad.
He's a guy that's going to hit his peak around 32. He's one of those players where
it's going to take him a really long time to peak.
Yeah, something at some time is going to click for Jaden Springer, and it might be in 10 years. It might be in 12 years. He's going to be serviceable in a couple of years. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It could be 5. I doubt it's going to be on the Sixers. He's going to be a journeyman type of player. And he just touches in there. He has no fit on this offense. We're an offensive-oriented team. We have Deanthony Milton. We have Joel Embiid. We have defensive guys, right? I mean, we could play some defense. But his defense isn't necessarily needed. We haven't seen Thibault when we need him to. Like, his defense isn't needed. And with that, when your defense is your best attribute and it's not needed, and you have nothing other to show for your game other than maybe some speed, you're not going to play. So he's going to be in Delaware. He just has to find it. He has to find a niche. And the thing about a niche, because his thing in the G League is that he can take over because he's the primary ball handler. He's the point guard. He's facilitating. He's getting into a rhythm. He's with the rock all the time. Never once in an NBA game will Jaden Springer be running the offense. I don't care how good he ever comes. He's never going to be the guy to run an offense. He does that every game in the G League. He can't do that in the NBA. He doesn't know how to play as an NBA player because he's in the G League and he's running things, right? Yeah, he's got confidence.
Back to maturity.
Look, Traveling Queen, the G League MVP from last season, he didn't even get into the NBA preseason game until the third quarter. So you want to know the difference?
He didn't even look all that good.
Yeah, I mean, you want to know the difference between the best guys in the G League to the worst guys in the NBA? It's big. It is a big difference. And, I mean, that's just one thing that just blows my mind. Like, the dude won G League MVP. You would think that he would be good in an NBA preseason game because essentially what the G League is. No. I mean, the guys, like, even Paul Reed last year, how'd this guy win G League MVP? I think we overrate the G League.
Something's just some
deep, but it's
some
not
players just can't find it in the NBA, and some players are just too good for the G League and just not good enough for the NBA, and you're gonna find that everywhere.
Like I said,
it sucks to see.
He's never gonna play in the G League like he will in the NBA because he's not gonna be a point guard. He's not gonna be a combo guard that's gonna have facilitating roles. He's gonna be a guy that's gonna play defense and make a shot. But he doesn't do that in G League because who would want Jaden Springer to sit down and make shots and just play defense? You want Jaden Springer to do work, right? I mean, I don't fault the Blue Coats for it because they're doing what they want to do. They got money to make, right? They got championships to win.
Yeah,
it's not their fault that they want Jaden Springer to do Jaden Springer things, but Jaden Springer's never going to do that in the NBA. So the progression is not what is there. It's not a linear progression where you're just like, oh, he's getting better because he's doing this in this certain role. It's just not happening with Jaden Springer. That's what's harming him right now.
Yeah, and it's all things that'll unfold in the coming years. But you got another guy? Let's do one. Let's do one last Niang. Guy.
George Niang. Can we talk about George Niang?
I just liked what I saw out of him. That's it. I was satisfied.
You like what you see. You like your stuff. So this is the key for George Niang. He was like a stretch 4 last year. Okay, that's cool. The less George Niang does, the better for his game. We have PJ Tucker.
Catch and shoot guy.
We have PJ Tucker, right?
Yeah.
He's a little bit more better offensively, right? Than PJ Tucker. We can't have this guy, George Niang, who's undersized. He's like a guard. Height-wise. He's a guard, height-wise. Let's be frank. He's a guard height-wise. Okay. Yeah. Width-wise, not so much. He's about, forward where he is now, but he's also got a 1-inch vertical. So he can't be in your offense, right?
I wonder if he can dunk.
What do you think? He definitely can dunk. I mean, the guy can dunk, but he like if you watch him play, it was like, yeah, that guy right there has a 1-inch vertical, you'd believe me. If you had no idea who he was or what he did or what basketball was, first time ever watching basketball and I told you he had a 1-inch vertical, you would 100% believe me. This is the way he plays.
I don't really have much on Niang except I was just satisfied with what he put in and how he played.
Yeah, I mean, I'm satisfied with it too, the way he is, but the less he does, like not necessarily.
He's just got to stop dribbling the ball. Dribbling the ball.
The less shooting, the less dribbling, the more shooting. Trying to navigate screens and set screens. Just shoot the ball and be a spark plug. And be open. The less he can do, trying to create, and the more he does trying to get open, the better the Sixers going to be. The less is more for George Niang.
He took a couple off dribble shots tonight, where it's just that's just unnecessary. But
his dribble max has to be 5. If George Niang has the ball and he has it in his possession, bounces it, and then has it back in his possession, that's 1. No more than 5. I'm telling you.
Just like you said, the
No more
less
than
he
5.
does, the better. But is it that time of the day?
Is it that time of the day, Tony? Can
Is
we
it that
confirm?
time of the day?
Can we
Tony, is it
confirm
that
that,
time of
Tony?
the day?
It is that time of the day.
Goodness
It is
gracious,
that
have
time of the
mercy.
day. It is time for
Sound
your
like Dream.
it is time for your tweet of the day. Tony, let's see it.
Oh man, this is
Oh.
nasty. This is
Jackson
Have fun with
Frank.
this one, folks.
Jackson Frank
shout out
said
Jackson Frank.
Embiid plus 4 bench guys should
Assuredly.
No. Big words.
Come on, man.
I drew a blank in my head. Surely not be a thing they run during the regular season.
How do you mean you
And
drew a blank? It's right there in front of you.
I was trying to sound it out. Go to school, kids. No, I'm kidding.
It is like
school.
12:30 a.m. So.
It's pretty late. I'm pretty tired. The infamous Swipe Cam said, I mean, Korkmaz, House, Thibault, Reed, and Embiid, not completely terrible. And
does he know?
To disagree, that was probably the worst thing you could have came up with.
I mean, you just kept going like Korkmaz, House, Reed. Like,
let me ask you guys.
You can take that off the screen. Let's get some Tony. Let's get some Tony FaceTime.
Wait.
I need some Tony FaceTime.
Who is the ball handler in this rotation?
Korkmaz?
There's no reliable ball handler here, man. What is he doing?
You got 2 guys that can't shoot on the floor.
There's 2 guys that shouldn't be dribbling the ball on here, dude.
You got
get House and Thibault, man.
You got
3.
4.
3.
No, you have 4 guys that shouldn't.
Paul Reed. Paul Reed has
Embiid.
dribbling privileges. Paul Reed has dribbling privileges.
Sure. But
Korkmaz, House, and Thibault, no.
That might take as early it is in the NBA season. That just might take it as the worst tweet of the season.
That's the worst tweeted season.
Disgusting.
Hey, shout out Jackson Frank though. Probably my favorite Sixers writer. The man puts out some good stuff.
Absolutely. Is that all? Sorry, we don't have 2 tweets today. It was just a 1 tweet
just
special.
One. That one it's the worst tweet of all time. There's nothing we can put after.
That could take that place for the next 10 tweets of the day. Is that all we got for today, Graham? Anything else?
I think that's it. We touched on everything basically, but it's preseason.
Preseason.
We talk too much.
NBA corner.
None of this matters. You listen to this whole episode, and none of what we said matters because it's preseason.
You didn't even need to watch this episode, but
you did.
You should though. You should.
We appreciate you doing so. Like we said, we're on Apple Podcasts now. Make sure to check us out everywhere.
I had to cook something up real quick.
Yeah. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere. YouTube. Subscribe, follow, like, comment, everything. Leave a rating. Give us a review. And thank you guys so much for making it to the end. If you're here, we love you. Thanks for supporting us. And you just have a special rest of your day.
Exactly, bro. We love every single one of you for being here. Have a fantastic Thursday, preparation for this weekend, and then go
a day early.
Weekend.
Exactly,
bro. A day early of the podcast. How lucky are you? It's because you're going to a Post Malone concert.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yep, Thursday night. Tonight.
That's big.
All right.
Yeah, that's about it for me. I've got nothing this week. I'm gonna be watching basketball.
Tony, what you got?
And writing articles. Tony, what you doing? What you got coming up? Do we have any more nasty YouTube videos being uploaded?
Look. Someone had to save him. Someone had to help him. But it's not this week. Hopefully when the season starts, I'll be back on that. Yeah, this weekend, Birds. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
I'm
the Phillies.
And the Phillies in the playoffs. True, the
They're in
Phillies.
the playoffs. Make sure you're watching that Friday. I think it starts at around 2 o'clock.
Yep.
Yeah,
2:07.
Had nasty time.
And then games like
Game
2 and 3 are
Saturday at 8:30 or something. Yeah.
It's 8:30, 7:30, something like that. So you're good. Once you get past the first one, you're good. Will you be able to
And,
watch the Phillies wildcard game? Will you be
yeah.
at work?
Me?
Yeah. Like, what do you got going on Friday afternoon?
Friday afternoon, I work at 4:00, so I'll be able to watch the first 2 hours.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss
Don't
the
worry,
best
they got it.
part.
They got it on the TVs at work, so we're
That's
good.
true. That's true. What about
All
you,
right.
Tony? Tony, how you watching? How you watching
I
Friday?
don't know if I'll be able to watch, man.
Not a
What do
real
you got
fan.
going on?
You know, Graham's not a real fan because
Graham,
he
you,
is a
Graham, you
Braves
know what I got
fan.
going on, man.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Tony.
Friday.
That's Friday, man.
Wow.
I don't want to
Those
expose
are-
Tony, but
those
he's got
that-
a very special, important day on
This
Friday.
is nasty. This is nasty.
Just
He's
very
got-
special. He needs to
everybody-
focus.
Wish Tony luck.
Wish
But
Tony.
also
Wish
let
Tony
him
luck.
know that his priorities are in the wrong place. He's choosing this certain thing over Red October.
It's been
I'll
11
I'll watch
years,
game.
Tony.
I'll watch game 1.
It's been
Or no,
11 years.
game 2. I'll watch game 2.
Nah,
Oh,
Tony's
well, that doesn't
gotta
matter.
He's got to fix his priorities. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good rest of your day. We will see you later.
Go Birds.